Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we're heading to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Back in 2012, 19-year-old Faith Hedgepeth, a student at UNC, was tragically murdered in her off-campus apartment. And, well, this case is anything but simple.
It really is, and it's one that demonstrates how crucial but sometimes limited forensic science can be.
Exactly. So let's rewind to September 7th, 2012. Faith is found in her apartment, and the scene is brutal. But here's the first puzzle piece. No forced entry. What do you make of that?
Well, that right there narrows down the possibilities. It immediately makes you wonder, was this someone Faith knew?
It's a question that has haunted investigators from the very beginning. And then there's the note. Discovered right there at the crime scene. It reads, "I'm not stupid. Jealous."
Chilling. It feels so personal, doesn't it?
It really does. But was it a genuine glimpse into the killer's mind, or a deliberate attempt to mislead investigators?
You know, this note has been analyzed and debated endlessly. Some experts believe it points to a crime of passion, someone close to Faith, driven by jealousy, just as the note suggests.
It's certainly a strong possibility. But then it gets even more complex, because investigators found male DNA at the scene. Case closed, right?
You'd think so. DNA evidence is often seen as, a slam dunk in investigations.
Right.
But in this case, they haven't found a match. They've run that sample countless times.
So frustrating.
It is, and it really makes you wonder, was it a contamination issue, a novel DNA profile, or something else entirely? It's been a major roadblock for investigators.
It's like having the final piece of the puzzle, but it simply doesn't fit. And then there's another layer to this. Faith was last seen alive with her roommate.
And that's where things get even more, interesting to say the least.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So naturally, investigators took a really close look at the roommate's movements, her statements, all of it.
Makes sense.
But there were, and I'm hesitant to say too much here, let's just say inconsistencies in the timeline she gave. And her demeanor during that 911 call, it raised some eyebrows.
I've heard about that 911 call. It's been, analyzed by every true crime enthusiast out there?
Oh, absolutely. And for good reason. Some say her tone seems oddly calm, given the circumstances.
Right. I can see why that would stand out.
It definitely adds fuel to the fire. But at the same time, it's important to remember that trauma, it affects everyone so differently. There's no textbook way to react to a tragedy like this.
That's a really good point. Just because her behavior seemed off to some, it doesn't automatically mean she was involved.
Exactly. And we can't, just jump to conclusions based on how we interpret someone's behavior, especially in such a high-stress situation.
For sure. We have to remember it's all about the evidence. So where does the investigation go from there?
Well, this is where things take another turn. Faith's case, it didn't just get buried in some file cabinet somewhere. Her family, they have been incredible. So has the community.
I can only imagine how difficult this must have been for them, especially with so many unanswered questions.
Absolutely. But they've organized rallies, kept her story in the public eye. They've even turned to social media to keep the case alive,
It's amazing what a difference that kind of dedication can make.
It truly is. They have been a driving force. I mean, they've refused to let Faith be forgotten, and all that pressure, it's what kept the investigation from going completely cold.
That's the power of collective determination right there.
100%. But now, let's pivot a bit back to the science, because remember we talked about the DNA earlier?
Oh, right. The one that didn't match anyone.
Yep, that's the one. But with all the advancements in forensic technology, have you heard about genetic genealogy?
Vaguely, but I'd love to hear more about it.
So basically, it allows investigators to use DNA databases to find potential relatives of a suspect, even distant relatives.
Wait, so even if the killer's DNA isn't in the system, they can still be identified through, like, a third cousin twice removed or something?
You got it.
That's incredible.
Right. It's like finding a tiny little thread and following it through this massive, confusing maze until it leads you right to the center. It's amazing.
Wow. So even the smallest trace of DNA can be the key to solving these mysteries. It's kind of mind-blowing. So with this genetic genealogy and the incredible dedication of everyone who wants justice for Faith, could this be it?
It really could be. It's definitely a new kind of hope in a case that for so long felt like it was going nowhere.
It's amazing to think that even after all this time, there's a chance. maybe a real chance of finally getting some answers.
It really is. And one of the things that's so interesting about this case, it's not just about the science, it's about the people.
Absolutely.
You have this incredible technology, this genetic genealogy, but then you also have this incredible, groundswell of support from the community.
It's like everyone's invested in finding out the truth about what happened to Faith.
Exactly. And it makes you think about all the other cases out there, all the other families still waiting.
Still searching for those answers, still hoping for that closure.
You got it. It's a reminder that even when things seem impossible, even when it feels like you're just hitting dead end after dead end, hope and perseverance, they can make a difference. They really can.
They absolutely can. In this case, the murder of Faith Hedgepeth, it's a stark reminder that some cases, they stay with us.
Yeah.
They stay with us because they're full of these twists and turns and what ifs, and we're often left with more questions than answers.
It's true. But we can't give up, can we?
Absolutely not. Because, like you said, advancements in forensic science and the dedication of those who loved her, they can make a world of difference. Cases like Faith's, they might finally have their day.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. And to everyone listening, if this deep dive into Faith's case has piqued your interest, and trust me, it's a rabbit hole we encourage you to do a little digging of your own. There's still so much to uncover. Until next time, keep diving deep.